A college freshman films himself having sex, then drives halfway across the country with some friends to prevent his girlfriend from seeing the tape. Listen as we discuss pimps and hoes parties, a director who really likes licking toes, and a fraternity meet cute. Then we find out if Road Trip stands the test of time.
Test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today? James says gladiator with a glut, and Alan says as a father blah blah. It's the test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today? Test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Test of Time. My name is Alan Noah, and joining me is my favorite road trip buddy, James Brief.
That's right. I don't know if we've ever taken a road trip.
No, we've never really gone on a road trip, actually. We drove down to Jersey once. That doesn't count. From New York to New Jersey, that's not a road trip.
That doesn't count.
That's commuting.
What's the biggest road trip you've ever been on?
I drove cross country. After senior year of high school, my dad and stepmom bought me a car. They lived in LA and they said, come and get it. So I flew to LA. My buddy Aaron, you know Aaron Newman from Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2. We drove from LA to New York. That was a long road trip. It was a great memory. I'm really glad we did it. As Eli approaches the age that I was then, it's come up like, would I let my kid do that? Maybe if he was with a responsible friend. I think I was the responsible friend of me and Aaron. Aaron might disagree with that. But yeah, that was the longest, coolest road trip I've ever been on.
That sounds great. I would imagine it's in every metric safer than when you drove.
Because of cell phones and tracking and Life 360.
The cars are better and, you could just know everything about where you are at any time. You're never lost. You don't have to talk to any strangers for directions. Just follow the GPS. I never did that, the Great American Road Trip. Once in college, some other buddies in our group, sometimes people will follow a band across the country.
Yeah.
We followed a folk singer. We followed him through Pennsylvania.
Dan Byrne, right?
Yeah, Dan Byrne. That's right.
I remember you guys going on that road trip and asking me if I wanted to come and just being so clearly no. I just know.
Yeah, I never did that. What is it, Route 66? People go across? Yeah, I never did that thing.
I think we were only on Route 66 for a very, very short period of time. When I went on my Grand Canyon trip last year, we did go on Route 66 for a bit.
That's also the order that killed all the Jedi, I believe.
That's an order, not a route. Same number, different kind of a thing. But let's talk about Road Trip. Why don't you give our listeners a recap of what this movie is all about?
Road Trip is about Josh Parker, a college student at the fictional University of Ithaca. Josh had planned to mail his long-distance girlfriend Tiffany a sentimental videotape. Instead, his roommate Ruben accidentally sends a tape of Josh having sex with someone else, Beth. Now, realizing that the tape will destroy his relationship, Josh and his three friends embark on a frantic 1,800-mile trip from New York to Austin, Texas, to intercept the package before it arrives. There's genius slash stoner Ruben, the shy car owner Kyle, and EL, who thinks Josh should break up with Tiffany. Along the way, they destroy Kyle's car, so EL steals a bus from a school for the blind. They go to a party at an all-black fraternity, sell their sperm, and stay with their friend Barry's grandparents. Meanwhile, Beth asks Barry where Josh is, and because he gets Austin and Boston confused, Beth travels to Massachusetts, where he tells the wrong Tiffany that her boyfriend is cheating on her. Oops. The guys eventually reach Texas, and Tiffany watches the tape, and Josh realizes that Barry had actually taped over the sex. That was lucky. So Josh and Tiffany, they break up anyway, and Josh returns to Ithaca to pass his philosophy midterm and start a relationship with Beth.
Right. And I don't need to ask you if this was a hit, because I know this made a lot of money when it came out in 2000, but tell me some dollars.
Yeah, you're right. This film came out on May 30th, 2000, Do you remember what the marketing campaign focused heavily on? Can you guess? It's May of 2000.
Tom Green?
Exactly. It heavily focused on him. We talked about it in our Freddie Got Fingered podcast. Probably people in their teens and 20s were the only people really into him at the time, but very into him for a while. And this movie, on a very modest budget, a $16 million budget, it opened at number 2, almost making back its budget with $15.4 million. Wow. On its way to $51 million, a 3.5 times multiplier, and $119 million worldwide.
All right, so let's start with the Tom Green of it all, because I know from our Freddie Got Fingered episode that you were not the biggest fan of his. He basically serves as the narrator. He sets up the story, he's giving a campus tour, and then he's telling the story of Josh and Beth. Just because I know your feelings on Tom Green in general, and specifically about Freddie Got Fingered, what did you think about him in this movie?
I thought he was much better in this film.
Okay.
Because he wasn't doing weird Tom Green stuff. It wasn't, Daddy, do you want some sausage? Daddy, do you want some sausage? And let's say this 8 more times. I don't find that funny in any way. This is a role that, while Tom Green played the role, I think other people could have played this role. He was just supposed to be kind of a weird snake guy who was kind of a regular character and not a complete oddball like the Freddie Got Fingered guy.
That's really interesting that you say that. I think he's doing the same shtick. When he puts the mouse in his mouth, when he sings the song about the salmon that can only say blub, 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 that is not something any random goofy actor would do.
I forgot about that part. So that's a little more Tom Green-esque. Yeah, I don't find that funny.
He is doing classic Tom Green shtick, which makes sense. You hire this guy because he's popular with young people. Let him do the thing that the young people like in your movie. That makes sense. I thought you were going to say that you didn't mind him as much because it's small doses. You just see him throughout the movie periodically. He does something weird, and then you forget about him for 10, 15 minutes while you're watching the main characters.
But I think he's a good narrator in that he's a comedically unreliable narrator.
Right.
Like there's a scene where he's talking about these 2 women talking to each other. And of course the women are topless for no reason. And some people call him out. They're like, why would these 2 women be topless? And he goes, trust me, they were. Yeah, that's a comedic play on the unreliable narrator trope, which I thought was funny. And that was well done.
I think this movie could work without the framing device of it's a story on a campus tour.
But how else do you get a 28-year-old Tom Green in this film?
So that's interesting. He's only a couple years older than most of the other people in this movie.
It's that goatee then that he's wearing. Something just makes him look a lot older. And he plays that gag like Bluto and Van Wilder. The reason why they're older is because they've been in college for 8 years.
Right.
And I guess you could have done that and he tags along with them on the road trip because, he's a little older. They could have put him in there. But you're right. It would have been Tom Green the entire film.
Right. All of the cast members in this movie are in their 20s. I think most of them are like 24, 26, somewhere around there. So the fact that Tom Green's 28, he's not that much older.
Yeah, they all look like they're in their 20s.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you one question. Do you think University of Ithaca is supposed to be Cornell University, or is it supposed to be Ithaca College?
Yes. I think it's supposed to be both. It's a little bit of, well, we want to do something upstate and why don't we just smush them together? Because I think the look of it is more Cornell, but
the name is obviously closer to Ithaca College.
Exactly.
You're right. They didn't really say either way. I was just curious if you thought it was one way or the other.
Yeah. I don't think they ever say that Josh is a freshman, but it is very heavily implied. It's his first semester. He's going to lose his scholarship if he doesn't get a good grade on this philosophy midterm. After class, the professor says, well, Josh, I was reviewing your grades and you need to get a B on this midterm. And then the smug TA says, actually, it's a B plus. And it's a pretty big lecture that the professor just happens to look up this one guy's grade point average and what he needs to get on the midterm. That seems very thoughtful of this professor. Josh is worried about the test. He's also worried about Tiffany, his girlfriend. They've been friends since they were little kids. She's his best friend. They grew up together. Now they're dating. They're doing the long distance thing. He hasn't heard from her in a while, so he's worried. And EL, played by Sean William Scott, basically doing a Stifler-like character, Stifler adjacent, whatever.
No, he plays Stifler.
Basically, right. He's telling Josh that he needs to hook up with this beautiful girl, Beth. There's a frat party scene, or a house party scene, I guess, doesn't matter, where they're doing an auction of the girls. I always feel like auction scenes in movies are dumb. It's dumb when it's men, it's dumb when it's women, but it is really, really especially dumb to auction off college girls. University of Ithaca is fictional, but if it's a university in Ithaca, which is a very progressive town, both Cornell and Ithaca College are very progressive. There's no way that these 18, 19-year-old girls are going to agree to be sold off like cattle. Also, you don't need to do that. College parties are where people hook up. You can be a little socially awkward and hook up at a college party. I say this from experience. Like, doing an auction is the stupidest thing ever. It's a plot device, but it just pisses me off a lot in this movie.
I don't know if they still do these things, but it was a staple at pretty much every college back when we were in school that there would be parties called the pimps and hoes parties. I did not dress up in these. I was not cool enough to really go to any of these ones. But like, they were definitely around. And yeah, I think people definitely would do these silly things.
No. Going to a pimps and hoes party and getting dressed up is very different than buying someone at auction with real money.
I think it's stupid, but I still think people would be stupid and do it.
Of all the college parties that I've been to, and there were weird themes throughout, pimps and hoes is one of them, I never saw anyone auction off anyone.
True.
But Beth and Josh hook up. She wants to record them having sex. It's their first time hooking up. She says it's her first time recording herself having sex. I think you could question that she's so eager to do that right away. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people have, camcorders and webcams and stuff. That's still pretty unique, so she might be seeing that. But my big problem with this scene, and kind of with the film, is there's a lot of good ways to set up this necessary road trip, and there's a time need. But do we have to have the main character cheat on his girlfriend? They don't even do the simple trope of quickly showing us that Tiffany is awful also. So we do see a hookup scene of Tiffany hooking up, but I believe that's like a fantasy, right?
It's a nightmare, yeah.
Right. So I wasn't a fan of Breckenmeyer.
Yeah, he cheats on his girlfriend because he hasn't heard from her in, I think it's 3 or 4 days. Then we find out that the reason she hasn't been in touch is because her grandfather died. So what a piece of shit. Josh is an asshole. Skipping to the end, he never apologizes. He never comes clean, neither to Tiffany or to Beth. He's lying to both of them. I guess lying by omission, but he never tells Beth that he has a girlfriend. He doesn't tell Tiffany about what he did. He sucks. I think that you kind of don't despise Josh because he's Breckenmeyer, because he has that baby face, because he has this golly gee aw shucks kind of quality, that you don't despise him. He's not a scumbag like EL.
Right, but there's so many ways to do this, even if he fucked up. I mean, anything but cheating on her.
Yes.
Something that could easily get you down there. It's pre-cell phone, so he's not able to get in touch with her. Make a reason why she's not available by her dorm phone. Easy to write that in.
I'm glad you brought up cell phones, because that is the elephant in the room with this movie. In a 2026 lens, none of this would happen. This movie would be a 30-second short.
Well, no, I think you can easily say that Tiffany is on a camping trip and she'll be home in 72 hours. You'd have to write them out of every single time they try to hitchhike because it's all Uber. All road trips have to be modified for the cell phone era.
Not even that. He's making a tape and sending a videotape.
Yeah.
He could just send a fucking video of himself on his phone and then it's delivered instantly.
Or you have to get her before she gets back into Signal and she gets that accidentally sent Instagram message or something.
You could do it. Her phone's broken. It's at Geek Squad or whatever, and he has to intercept it before she gets it back. But it would be a lot of changes to make this movie now in the cell phone era. Did this movie start the thing about the cheating rules that if you're in a different area code, it's not cheating?
I feel like Swingers was one of those movies that started making up these social rules of like, oh no, you wait 3 days. Also was kind of a Seinfeld thing. I know you didn't watch Seinfeld where they go, oh yeah, she ate the peas one at a time. That's a psychopath. And I think it's a 90s comedic thing. Maybe it was in the 80s and earlier. I don't know.
When EL brings it up, then Ruben says, oh yeah, that's true. I read an article about it, which gives it credence, I guess, that it's a real thing.
I could see, like, back then, a Maxim article telling you those kind of rules.
Sure, I'll buy that. While the guys are on their road trip to Austin, Barry sends Beth to Boston. I did get a little chuckle of the text on screen throughout the movie telling you the location. When she gets to Boston, it says Boston in parentheses, not Austin. But along the lines of Josh being a pretty bad person for all of the shit he does, Beth thinks she's maybe doing the right thing by confronting Tiffany and saying that, your boyfriend cheated on you with me. But this other Tiffany, this wrong Tiffany, starts destroying this other guy's car. She starts hitting him with the baseball bat. And then Beth just is like, ooh, and walks away like Homer going into the bush. That's fucked up.
I hate this side quest.
Okay.
It's all a play on Boston versus Austin and to keep Beth in the film a little bit more. But I think her entire side quest here should be cut out. Beth should kind of be a bookend on this movie. You see her in the beginning and you see her at the end.
I don't mind that she's in more of the movie. I just don't think it's funny. It's a comedy. Put in a funny scene of Beth talking to the wrong Tiffany. There's a way to make that scene wacky and goofy that's not just beating up a guy with a baseball bat who didn't deserve it.
And there has to be some kind of resolution.
Yes.
For that guy emotionally or whatnot. Let the guy wake up in a hot tub full of the sorority girls later or something. Why is this guy's life ruined? He seems to be probably a good guy to his Tiffany. And we hear from Beth, we ruin the life of some guy in Boston.
Another part of Beth's side quest that I hate, when she's on the bus back from Boston, she falls asleep and there's a guy who starts licking her toes. That is a cameo from the director, Todd Phillips. Oh, okay, you're going to put yourself in your own movie to be a weird foot creep. That I can deal with. The fact that he has a big, giant Star of David dangling from his neck while he's licking her toes, I really fucking hate that. Todd Phillips, if you're listening, why? Why did you do that, man? He's Jewish in real life, Todd Phillips. He was raised in a Jewish family. Cool, neat. Don't wear the Star of David when you're playing a creep like that in a movie.
The only thing I could think of is that he is really in his own mind getting his revenge on some asshole that he knew when he was 15 years old and gonna be like, I'm gonna play this like Ben Menkelstein. I'm gonna wear a wig like he did and my friends are all gonna get a kick out of it. Like, hey guys, check out the creep I'm trying to do. I'm acting like Ben. There's absolutely nothing there. Not even a bad joke.
It's a really shitty choice. And the fact that Todd Phillips cast himself in this particular role, it kind of makes me think that he just really wanted to lick Amy Smart's toes. But back to the guys. They're driving. They come across a bridge that they are going to have to jump. Ruben, he's so smart, he knows physics, and he's not going to miscalculate anything. And he is technically right that the car is able to get over the bridge, but then it blows up. I didn't really like the Ruben character in general. I just found him smug and pretentious. And I knew guys like that. I mean, there were plenty in our fraternity. So it's not that it's unrealistic, but I just didn't enjoy those kinds of guys in real life. I didn't enjoy watching him on screen. I did like later on when he says that near-death experience affected him, because you wouldn't expect something like that in a dumb sex comedy. You would think that the car blowing up would just be for laughs, and then the characters say, well, what do we do now? That's a trauma that affected him. Cool.
Yeah, he's my least favorite character in this film. I didn't find him funny. I don't think the actor played him poorly. I just don't think the way it was written, I don't think there was much room to be a comedic character there.
No, not at all.
So they wind up making themselves over to a motel, which has that's Andy Dick, right?
Yes.
Andy Dick as the creepy motel manager. The scene that I remember thinking was funny was the diner scene. DJ Qualls' character, he doesn't want a powdered sugar on his French toast.
Right.
So the cook, Horatio Sands, he goes, "Oh, absolutely, sir." He licks the French toast sugar off, and then he sticks the French toast in his pants. He has some flatulence in his pants to give a little basting for the French toast. And then he puts the French toast back on the plate, and then DJ Qualls, he starts eating it. He just goes, "It's good." It's just not that funny to me, but DJ Qualls' response is the only good part there.
I really liked Horatio Sands when I was a page at SNL, and then I read the Me Too stories about him. I don't know if you read about those. It's fucked up. And so the fact that it's him ruins the scene for me. In a road trip movie, you got to destroy the car. The way that they have transportation after that is stealing the bus from the blind. It's Mary Lynn Rice Cup. She was Chloe on 24.
Damn it, Chloe. I knew her from somewhere.
Exactly. Like I was saying before about Josh never coming clean about cheating on his girlfriend. EL gets away with stealing this bus from the blind. There's no little moment at the end where you see him return it and apologize, and he cleans it, and he cleans all of the buses or anything like that. He just steals this bus from not just a blind woman, but a school for the blind.
Right. And he even says, he makes a point to tell the guys, "Look, I'm not such a bad guy. I'm going to return it." And under his breath, he says, "Maybe."
Right.
You should have a little cap, or at least get his ass kicked by a bunch of blind people back at University of Ithaca.
Sure.
They heard about what he did.
That would be fine. It could be funny. But yeah, it just kind of goes nowhere.
Yeah, they make their way to a fraternity. There's some school on the way. They need shelter. We were in a fraternity, and we once went to another chapter, and it was prearranged. It's not like we just showed up, but
right.
I guess you sort of could show up, and he does give the handshake, and we do have a secret handshake.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you want to do the secret handshake right now?
Oh, that'd be great podcasting, Al.
I know, that was the joke.
Oh, yeah.
Get it?
I do get it. But they do let him in, and then the joke is that it's a black fraternity. You'd think that the next jokes would kind of all be these kind of racial jokes, but they do one quick thing where they kind of fuck with the guys a little bit and make them really scared, because they instantly know these guys are not from their chapter, University of Ithaca. But then right after, I think DJ Qualls' character, he passes out in fear. Right after that, they have a great time. This was not a bunch of white guys trying to like scam a black fraternity. If anything, that was the last thing they tried to do. Like, yeah, they fuck with him, and then they don't like really fuck with them. They have a good time. So DJ Qualls' character, he hooks up with a larger black woman, but he stays with her at the end, and it's not this weird thing where he gets with this like hideous, the joke is that she's fat and hideous, but like he got laid, so he's sticking with her. No, she actually seems like a really nice woman that for this ridiculous, I guess you call it a meet cute, they should not have met, and then they get together at the end. So that's a storyline that shouldn't work, but I like it.
That's fair. You mentioned Bluto earlier, and, the Tom Green character is clearly older in this movie. Also in Animal House, the car gets destroyed. And also in Animal House, there's a scene where they're the only white people in a black space. And honestly, the scene in Animal House is more racially insensitive than what we have in Road Trip by a significant margin. The joke is not these guys are white and they're at a black fraternity. They do make a lot of jokes about how he's a skinny white boy and she's a big black girl. It goes a little too far.
By a little long. I agree.
The way that the shot is framed when they're in bed together and she's on top and you can barely see him and you just see her body, it's framed as a joke. To me, the funniest joke in that scene is when she says, they're in someone else's room, and she's like, "Oh, he has condoms in the drawer, behind the belt, past the Old Spice." That's funny. But then the next day, they need to sell sperm because they're out of money, because all their money blew up in the car and they've maxed out the credit card. They decide to sell sperm. And the joke is that Kyle, the DJ Qualls character, he says, I can't donate sperm because I just had sex. And then they're all like, oh, this is the guy who's had sex. But also, didn't Josh just have sex? Isn't that why they're on this whole road trip in the first place?
Yeah, they probably should have thrown in within the last 24 hours.
Maybe they do. Maybe it's 2 days or 3 days or something, whatever. I do remember seeing this movie in the theater, and when EL gets the fingers up the ass, the milking the prostate thing, I remember that got a big laugh. Maybe it's because I'm older, but that joke didn't really make me laugh this time.
No, it's just gross out humor. And in a theater, it would make people laugh. The laughter would be a little contagious. That's what it is. It's not a funny thing 20 years later on DVD.
No, it really isn't. They have a stop at Barry's grandparents' house, and the joke is that the old man has a boner and he's knocking things off with his dick while he's watching exercise videos. That I thought was mildly funny. Then he goes and talks to Ruben, who's smoking pot. And the second the old man takes a hit, he hallucinates the dog is talking to him, which is not how weed works.
No, that's how weed works in a pre-2000 film, though, I guess.
This is a 2000 film.
We could say in the last millennium, because I guess technically it was.
Okay, fine. Do you know who did the voice of the talking dog?
No.
Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, he's got, I think, 2 lines. And then the other joke there is that when they get to the house, they see that it's the Manilows. And then they're like, oh, Barry's last name is Manilow? Ha, 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 ha. Barry Manilow's still alive, and Copacabana is a famous song. It's a dated reference, but also they're pretty good friends with Barry. They don't know his last name.
It's not funny. It's not a funny joke.
No, it really isn't. They get to Austin, and this scene really got me from a test of time perspective, because they are there to collect the VHS tape that has been snail mailed. First off, that's a test of time thing. Then Kyle's dad shows up. He's looking for his son. He thinks his son's been kidnapped. And so he gets there and immediately pulls out a gun. It's basically just played for laughs. Nowadays, an adult coming onto a college campus and pulling a gun on kids, that's going to shut the school down. That's a news story. That's a tragedy. All of these kids are going to be in grief counseling for weeks or months. It's not a funny gag.
No, I mean, this film is released in May 2000, probably filmed in mid to late 99. It's pre-9/11, but post-Columbine.
When was Virginia Tech?
Yeah, I don't think Virginia Tech was 99.
Okay.
So I don't think that had happened yet. So you're right. It's the kind of thing even a year later would not have been done. It's Fred Willard?
Fred Ward.
Fred Ward. It's kind of that kind of like Yosemite Sam kind of guy. It was still, I think, okay for them to do it back then. But right now, he pulls it out and you're like, oh, geez, like that changes the frame of the film. He's no longer a good dad trying to he's just wrongly informed that his son was kidnapped. He's kind of a good dad here by trying to find him. And he brings a gun to try to presumably kill these kidnappers. But you're right. It definitely changes things now.
Yeah. And then they get into a fight with campus security, and there's mace fired in every direction. When Josh and Tiffany go off into the room, you do see her clean out her eyes with water in the sink. I've never been around mace pepper spray, but from what I've heard, it really fucks with you, even if you're not sprayed directly in the eye. If you're just in the room, it can really fuck you up. Also, in this whole melee, Josh is holding on to the package.
So frustrating.
With the tape the whole time. They're in a common area. They're in a mail room. Then they go back to Tiffany's dorm. Somewhere along the way, there's a garbage can that he should have thrown that into.
Or at the very least, sumoplex it on your knees and just crack that thing in half. I'm still not liking this guy. I mean, I like Breckenmeyer, you're right, he's a charming guy, but we're still playing along on his team here of covering up. So I'm kind of thinking like he should get his comeuppance, but I do like the fact that Tiffany winds up seeing the tape because they're not paying attention. There's an awful part where Josh lies down on her bed with the tape and then gets up. He leaves a manila envelope with the tape there. How is this not surgically glued to you? But fine, for whatever reason, he's a little delusional. She gets the tape, puts it in. It's actually a pretty good cover. I totally forgot about it. Tom Green's character had taped over it. However, you must have noticed this too. They very clearly leave a quarter of a second shot, which is all you need of a beautiful young woman's either leg or ass or something.
It's her butt in the underwear.
And the thong or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. How does she not see this woman's thong?
Not only that, the video starts with a unseen woman asking Josh, who's seductively lying in bed, what do you look for in a girl? And he says she should be pretty and she should be smart and all these things. And so then Tiffany's like, aw, at the very least, it would raise the question of, who is this girl asking you this question? And then when you see the quarter second of her butt, then Tiffany would have questions.
At the very least, have Tiffany look away for a second, like while she's seeing this. Oh, Josh, this is so sweet of you. She misses that half second when she turns back. It's Tom Green looking in the camera.
It's done for us, the audience, and deliberately not for Tiffany.
Right. And they decide, we're a little too young. They do say about how college is a time for them to explore and meet other people.
It's all a callback. Tiffany is saying what EL said earlier about the window of opportunity is closing, blah, blah, blah.
They're not wrong. But I felt like, okay, here's where she's going to give us that little cathartic. It's a little bit retcon cathartic, but at the very least, she's been really wanting to cheat on you, or she did, or accidentally hooked up or something. But no, Josh gets away with it.
She does say that she did cheat on him when they were 14, and it's okay because he was in a different area code. Again, another EL callback.
So making Josh's cheating technically not a violation.
It's like a tit for
that's
tat.
what the callback is. Yeah. I give the pass to her at 14. She kissed another boy at the creek.
Right.
And then at the end, he gets back together with Beth. All right, I guess Josh gets to be with two beautiful women with zero consequences.
Well, yeah, but also that kind of contradicts the whole point of the movie, where you're in college and you need to go out and explore and meet new people, and he just goes from one long-term relationship to another long-term relationship. Yeah, this one isn't a distance relationship.
It's a big improvement.
Sure, but it's still not him learning to cut loose and be with lots of people. The lesson and what actually happens are just a bit off. Another thing that doesn't stand the test of time, Beth helps Josh out by calling in a bomb threat for this midterm. You can kind of write it off as, okay, it's pre-9/11. But it delays the midterm for 2 hours, and then they have to take the test. Wouldn't that not work? Because if they get the all clear 2 hours later, well, then now it's 2 hours later and that professor has another class and these students have other classes. And so they're going to have to reschedule it for the next day. I know
it's
I'm
finals
nitpicking.
week, I would say, midterm. Didn't we have like prelim time we called
Yeah.
it? So I guess maybe there's wiggle room there.
Fine. And then, while Barry's telling the story, he says how Josh and Beth are together, and EL is dating a girl who likes to stick even more fingers up his ass. And Ruben invented a new kind of weed strain that's undetectable in drug tests, which I guess you could say does stand the test of time. Weed's legal in a lot of places, but there are still companies that test for drugs, including marijuana. So, okay. But yeah, Kyle goes back home and he brings his girlfriend from the fraternity party earlier. Kyle's the only character who has any arc. Like, he's told he needs to stand up for himself, and he does.
You're right. It's only Kyle.
Right. But James, what do you think about Road Trip? Do you think the movie stands the test of time?
I like the idea, kind of the comedic idea that this tour is really into the story, that they're kind of sitting with this guy all day.
Yeah.
I think that there are funny parts to this film, mostly Kyle, I think. But the film overall, I'd seen it twice. No, I don't think it's aged particularly well. It's not a terrible movie. No, it doesn't stand the test of time. It was okay. I didn't mind seeing it, but I don't think I ever have to see this film again. What about you, Al? Do you think Road Trip stands the test of time?
I don't. It worked in 2000 with the camcorder and the VHS tapes and not having cell phones, but none of this plot really makes sense today when you can just reach anyone instantly. It wouldn't be the same movie. Also, by the way, the whole thing about intercepting the tape before it gets there in the mail, they leave on a Friday, they get to Austin on Monday, and the tape is there. So it was delivered on Sunday? Or even like early Monday? That's too fast for a tape to get from Ithaca to Austin. Ithaca's in the middle of nowhere. Mail is slow there. That's a small detail, I guess. I also just hate the fact that Beth is so into Josh. She keeps saying, oh, Josh is different. He's a really great guy. He's not like the others. He's not like those guys that are just interested in sex. And then she's really disappointed. She goes on this whole, you call the side quest to Boston, and she really wants him to be different. She doesn't know him. She doesn't know anything about him. She didn't know that he had a girlfriend. That never came up in any conversation. That makes me think that they weren't really talking all that much, that she didn't really know him all that much, which is fine if she was attracted to him and wanted to hook up with him. Cool, neat, you're in college, have fun. But that like you're that obsessed with him, that he's that into her, there's just so much of this movie that just doesn't really work for me. Yeah, it has funny parts. I love the soundtrack. It's Tricky by Run DMC. I Want to Rock by Twisted Sister, Ween, Eels. It's a really great soundtrack, but I'm going to say that the movie does not stand the test of time. So, because we talked about Road Trip this week, we have to follow it up with Euro Trip next week. Special guest Eddie Perez Cortez is coming back on the show. Really looking forward to talking with Eddie. It's always a good time when he's here. In the meantime, we are at Test of Time Pod on Facebook, X, Instagram, and Threads. Write to us there. Comment on YouTube. Comment on Spotify. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other people find the show. And we'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye.